What if I told you that everything you know is borrowed? Not in the poetic sense, not in a metaphor. I mean literally. Your thoughts are echoes, your dreams, hand-me-downs from someone else's fantasy. The way you dress, walk, hope, cry, succeed, and even love. You didn't invent any of it. You just inherited the performance. From the moment you opened your eyes, you were handed a world already painted in someone else's colors. Blue means boy. Work means worth. Love looks like this. Success feels like that. So you learned to play along, not because you were weak, but because you were human. And humans don't see the world as it is. They see it as they were taught to see it. But here's the thing no one tells you. You're still inside the trick. You're walking around in a museum, thinking it's a jungle. You're surviving an illusion, one that rewards your obedience, punishes your awareness, and calls you crazy the moment you start asking the wrong questions. Why do you believe what you believe? Who told you it was true? And what would be left of you if you unlearned it all? This isn't a video meant to comfort you. It's meant to wake you up, to make you feel that violent cracking noise when the glass between you and the real world finally shatters. Because once it does, you can never go back. You'll walk through the same streets, but nothing will look the same. Not the people, not the rules, not the reasons. You'll realize how much of your life was spent inside a script you didn't even know you were handed. And that's when the real terror and the real freedom begins. So if you're ready to see it, keep watching. But be warned, you'll never see the world the same after this. You don't live in the real world. You live in a story about the world. One that was told to you so many times, in so many ways, that you forgot it was a story at all. Your name, your nation, your moral compass, your career goals. These didn't sprout from your soul. They were stitched into you, thread by thread, by parents, teachers, media, religion, and strangers who were all just passing along the same script they didn't have the courage to question. And you followed it. Not because you were foolish, but because you didn't know there was anything else to follow. From the time you were a child, you were taught to mistake repetition for truth. If enough people agree something is normal, we stop asking whether it's real. A kilink aura, a job, ami lasan magoli alel cadet. Normal. Feeling like a failure by 25. Normal. Putting your happiness on hold until you earn permission from money, status, or approval? Completely normal. But the worst part, you don't even notice the cage because it's invisible. They didn't need to chain your body. They just trained your eyes. And now you see limits where there are none. You see rules where there were only ideas. You see shame where there should have been freedom. They handed you a map. But the map wasn't made for you. It was made to keep you in line, to funnel your steps toward what the system values, not what your soul needs. Think about it. You're praised for being agreeable, not original. You're rewarded for being efficient, not alive. You're encouraged to chase goals that impress strangers, not ones that fulfill you. And the moment you stop playing along, the world starts to resist you. People get uncomfortable. They say you've changed. They call you lost, rebellious, unrealistic. But what they really mean is, you stopped believing in the illusion that keeps the rest of us safe. The illusion is comfortable. It gives you a script to follow, an identity to wear, a set of rules that guarantee social survival. But it comes at the cost of your real self. And most people will pay that price. Every day, for the rest of their lives, smiling politely while their soul quietly withers. Because waking up hurts. And once you do, you can never dream the same way again. Imagine this. You're born with a mind as vast and empty as the sky, limitless, open, untouched. But from your very first breath, they start building fences. You learn what things are before you ever ask what they mean. A flower is pretty, a bug is gross, crying is bad, winning is good, love is romantic, anger is ugly. And just like that, the world becomes labeled, categorized, shaped into tiny boxes, none of which you built yourself. You didn't choose the language you think in, the standards you compare yourself to, or the emotions you're allowed to express. They were given to you. You think you're free, but what you call you is mostly a collage of everything you absorbed. And most of it was never tested, just accepted. You inherited your beliefs like a second-hand coat that never quite fit, but you kept wearing it anyway, because everyone told you that's what a coat's supposed to look like. They gave you mirrors that only reflect what they approve of. They gave you filters and called it reality. They showed you heroes who all looked the same, loud, flawless, adored, and told you to shape yourself in their image. And here's the brutal truth. You believed them. We all did, because the construction of perception doesn't happen with violence. It happens with repetition. You saw the same faces being applauded, the same body types being desired, the same job titles being respected. And your mind learned, not logically, but visually, emotionally, invisibly, what is good, valuable, worthy. It became instinct. To chase what you were told matters, to fear what they never taught you to love, to doubt yourself when your truth doesn't look like the pictures. And by the time you're old enough to ask, wait, is any of this real? You're already too deep. You're already editing yourself without realizing it. Every time you hesitate before speaking your truth, every time you smile when you want to scream, every time you act like you don't care because caring would make you weak. That's not authenticity. That's programming. You didn't become who you are. You were shaped into it. And the scariest part? Most of the people who helped build your perception never questioned theirs either. So the illusion just keeps passing on. One generation to the next. One stranger to another. Blind hands sculpting blind minds, until someone finally opens their eyes and sees the scaffolding for what it is. That's what this video is. Not a sermon, not a speech, but a mirror held just far enough away so you can finally see the strings. And once you see them, you'll want to cut every single one. Take everything you've been told the world is, a meritocracy, a playground, a test, a gift, and now set it aside. Let's ask a different question. What is the world when you stop pretending it's what you hope for? Not what you want it to be. What it actually feels like when you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to fake the smile anymore. It's chaos pretending to be order, a collection of systems built by people who didn't know what they were doing, but were too scared to admit it. So they built myths. They made rules, they packaged suffering in nice little words like destiny, success, and normal. But underneath the polish, the world is raw. It's indifferent. It doesn't care about your plans, your feelings, your potential. It swallows both the dreamers and the monsters. It rewards noise, not truth. Surface, not substance. That's why it breaks you. Because deep down you want meaning. Not distraction. You want connection, not small talk. You want beauty that doesn't sell itself. But everywhere you look, you're being told to become more useful, more profitable, more likable. You're surrounded by a reality that measures your worth in metrics, followers, dollars, productivity hours, and calls it a life. You're told to compete instead of feel, to hustle instead of rest, to tolerate instead of rebel. And when you begin to crack under the weight of it all, They don't ask what's wrong with the world. They ask what's wrong with you. They tell you you're ungrateful, that you just need to try harder, be more grateful, journal more, meditate more, manifest better. But what if the world you've been trying to thrive in was never designed for someone like you to begin with? What if your softness isn't weakness, but a response to a culture that praises numbness? What if your burnout is actually grief? Grief for the parts of yourself you had to kill just to be accepted? The world breaks you by demanding your performance and rejecting your presence. It rewards masks, it punishes depth, it teaches you to stay silent in the face of injustice and smile while you're drowning. But here's the most painful truth of all. Even once you realize this, you still have to live in it. You still have to walk through a world that isn't built for truth, beauty, or love. At least not the kind that doesn't have a price tag. So you have two choices. Keep playing the part they wrote for you, or let it all burn and start again with nothing but your raw, trembling self and a voice that finally says, I won't live in this lie anymore. That's where real sight begins, and that's why it hurts so much. So what happens after the illusion dies? What happens after the pain, the confusion, the sleepless nights of questioning everything? Your dreams, your friends, your purpose, even your own reflection? At first, nothing. Nothing but silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that sounds like standing in an abandoned house where every memory echoes back at you as if to ask, now what? You won't feel free right away. You'll feel naked, directionless, like a ghost in a city you used to call home. Because when you finally see clearly, you realize how much of your life was noise. Loud, constant noise. Opinions, expectations, narratives, strategies. All of it convincing you that you had to become something in order to be worthy of being here. But here's the thing clarity gives you, and noise never could. Space. Space to feel again. To think in your own voice. To want what you want, even if no one claps for it. Even if it doesn't make a good Instagram caption. Even if it disappoints everyone who thought they knew you. You start to move slower. Not out of laziness, but out of precision. You stop rushing toward the future because you no longer need it to rescue you. You begin to build, not a brand, not a performance, but a life. Quietly, honestly, with hands that shake a little, but still build anyway. You stop needing everyone to understand you, because you finally understand yourself. You stop begging people to stay, because you've stopped abandoning yourself. And the freedom, it doesn't scream, it whispers. It shows up in small moments, sitting in silence without reaching for your phone, saying no without explaining, leaving the party early, laughing without an audience, crying without shame. It's not a revolution, it's a return to what you were before they told you who to be. And slowly, you start to realize something extraordinary. The world didn't change, you did. And now, you can walk through the same streets where you used to feel invisible and see, not what they told you was there, but what's always been waiting underneath. Truth, stillness, and a life that finally feels like your own. You'll never unsee it, and you'll never trade it back. Because the price of pretending is far greater than the cost of being awake. And now that you've seen clearly, you wouldn't go back, even if you could. Maybe this isn't what you came here for. Maybe you just wanted a little motivation, a quote to write down, something to feel good about for a moment. But if you've made it this far, then something inside you already knew. You were never looking for comfort. You were looking for the truth. And the truth isn't loud. It doesn't shout. It doesn't force itself into your life. It waits quietly, patiently, for the moment you're ready to feel it. And now here you are, standing on the edge of a world you can't return to. Because once you see that the system is broken, you can't spend your life trying to fix yourself to fit into it. Once you see how many masks you've worn, you start longing for the face underneath. Once you hear your own voice beneath the noise, you stop needing the world's permission to speak. You'll walk different now, slower, but more alive. Not because you figured it all out, but because you finally stopped pretending you had to. You'll lose people. You'll outgrow old desires. You'll feel lonelier than ever and freer than you thought possible. Because freedom doesn't always look like a breakthrough. Sometimes it looks like not answering the phone, not forcing the smile, not chasing the approval you once lived for. Sometimes freedom is just choosing yourself every single day, no matter how uncomfortable that makes the world around you. So here's your quiet revolution. No more performing, no more shrinking, no more pretending the cage is a kingdom. You've seen the strings, you've stepped off the stage, and now in the silence they tried to keep you from. You'll build something real. You'll live, not the life they gave you, but the one you choose with your own hands, your own truth, and your own vision. And when someone asks what changed, you'll smile softly and say, everything, because I finally saw it.